My first full-time job in journalism, like not an internship, was at a newspaper in Northern California called Grass Valley, California. So you can laugh because people like it's full of hippies. It was a 17,000 circulation paper. I was very excited. I was a staff photographer in this little paper in California, which is about halfway between Tahoe and Sacramento and the gold country. So it was a weird mix of people. It was like hippies that had moved there in the 60s and 70s, old mining families that had been there for generations, and then like some retirees who sold their Bay Area homes for like $3 million and moved to the cheaper area of Grass Valley. My favorite part about Grass Valley was there were like some famous people that lived around there. Like Chuck Yeager lived in Grass Valley. I was excited. But the person I was most excited to find out that lived near Grass Valley was Gary Snyder. Nobody knows who he is, right? Gary Snyder is a beat poet, which my high school heart made it grow 3 sizes when I found that out, because he's not just a beat poet, he is also my favorite character in my favorite Jack Kerouac book. In Dharma Bums, he is known as Jaffe Ryder, but it's the same guy. Kerouac always kind of changed the names just slightly. So when I found out he was there, I was like, I have to meet Gary Snyder. So I just started working there, and I went to a reading he held on the San Juan Ridge in the North Columbia Schoolhouse, which is, I can't begin to tell you how in the middle of nowhere this place is. You have to like drive up a 2-lane road on the side of a mountain, and it was pouring rain, and and I went to a reading with Gary Snyder and Lawrence Ferlinghetti in the pouring rain, and I thought I was gonna die, but I got to see Gary Snyder. And so that was exciting, but then I was even more excited a year or two later when I got a photo assignment from the paper to photograph Gary Snyder. Now, at the paper, I don't think I was the only person that liked him. His mom was more famous. His 92-year-old mother, Lois Hennessy, used to call the paper and leave these long voicemails full of ideas and suggestions. Like she'd be like, "This is Lois Hennessy, and I saw this story about the guy who tied his dog to the car, and I want to propose the Lois leash law to make that illegal. You write that down, the Lois leash law." And she would say things like, "Gary hasn't written a good poem since 1975. And we would all gather around when she left a voicemail to like listen to 90-year-old Lois and her awesome voicemails. But I got an assignment to photograph Gary. And part of the reason I was so excited was because this microphone is throwing me off. In this Dharma Bums book, the reason I like him so much is that he's like this, Kerouac describes him as this little mountain goat guy, and he has these amazing hiking boots. And Kerouac decides he wants to get back to nature and become a Buddhist and like not live the crazy city life. And he meets Gary Snyder, and he has these boots, and he takes him hiking. And Kerouac goes hiking in like his canvas tennis shoes and his blue jeans, smoking cigarettes the whole way, and is like dying as Gary Snyder in his awesome backpack and boots just like hops from rock to rock. And I had a friend in high school she had these great hiking boots, and she called them her Jaffe boots after Jaffe Ryder. And so when I got this assignment, I was trying to think of like the best way to do a portrait of Gary Snyder, but I don't know what he's like. I mean, I knew these stories about him in the 50s, but I don't know what he's really up to these days. So I'm trying to think of like what kind of portrait I'm gonna take. Lots of times, like, you know, you could do something of him in front of a bookcase. He's a poet, but I don't know, that's kind of boring. In California, like lots of times I go to people's houses and they would have these amazing back decks, and you could do something with the mountains or something, or you see their house and you see the space they live in, and that'll give you an idea. So I drove up to the San Juan Ridge, and I parked in Gary Snyder's driveway, and I got out and I met him, and I said, "Well, what are you doing today? How's your afternoon going?" And he said, "Oh, it's great. I'm just packing up to go hiking with my son, and I'm oiling up my hiking boots to get ready." And I was like, "Oh my God, just go back to work. You just keep doing that." I was so excited that this guy was oiling up his hiking boots. So we went over, he was outside and he had his little backpack beside him and he was like putting his laces on his boots and getting everything all oiled up so that they could go hiking. And I took some photos and like I was really happy with the photos I got because to me, it was exactly what I thought of when I thought of Gary Snyder. And he liked them too, apparently, because after the photos ran, he called and said, "Can I get a print of your photo?" And I said, "Sure, if you will sign a print for me." So I got a couple prints made, and he came down and he signed one for me and my mom. And I gave him a print. My mom wanted one too, she's a big fan. And that's the only photo of mine that I have hanging up in my house is this photo of Gary Snyder and this perfect moment of where sometimes when you do portraits, you never know what you're going to get. And it's great when sort of you get this serendipitously great moment.
Can you do that old lady voice again?